Find your way into a comfortable seat. Maybe rub your hands together a little bit, creating a little bit of warmth. Bring your thumbs to your breastbone. Let your shoulders relax. Maybe even shake out your head a little bit, wiggle your shoulders. And then settle into your posture. Just taking a couple of breaths, noticing the sounds, the ambient sounds around you. Noticing the temperature in the room that you're practicing, or if you're outdoors, notice what it is. Feel your breath come in. There's a natural pause before it naturally goes out. And then think if there's somebody that you want to dedicate your class to. Your dedication can be like a prayer, a gift, a little salve for someone else. They need never know about it. And let's sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath first, and then take a deep inhale. Relax your hands down to your lap and drop your chin to your chest and slowly let your head circle around. So you're rolling out your neck. If there's a little bit more sensation in one spot, just pause there. And once you come back to center, just switch the directions and roll your skull around one more time. When you come back to center, lift up your chin, and you can even still keep your eyes closed. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder, and then reach your right arm behind you and just a light pull next to your left eye. Pull back and up. Take a full inhale, open your eyes and look up to the ceiling. And then with your exhale, reach your tongue down towards the floor. And then bring your chin to the inside of your right shoulder and just gently tug the back of your skull here. And then relax your right hand, lift your head up to center. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Look up to the ceiling and then reach your hand around and just pull right next to your right eye up and back. Take a full inhale and then reach your tongue down to the floor with the exhale. It's not going to reach, but reach for it. And then bring your chin to the inside of your left shoulder and just tug at the back of your skull. Feel a nice stretch there. And then release your left hand, bring your head up to center. Take both hands over your heart. Turn your chin one more time to your right shoulder. This time, lift your chin up, feeling a stretch in the front of your neck. Purse your lips, relaxing your forehead. And then bring your chin back to center. Take it the other way. Take your chin to the left. You can even switch hands if you're really type A like me. And then reach your chin up. I don't really know if I am. I sometimes am. And then purse your lips. Feeling the stretch in the front of your neck again. Drop your chin back to center and then lift your chin up, stick your tongue out, and tick-tock your tongue side to side. And then bring your gaze back to the horizon. Relax your hands down. And we're gonna start with, or started already, we're gonna go into the first asana of half butterfly. So stretch your right leg out, the left heel is in. And we're gonna go straight down the center first, and then we're gonna take it over the extended leg. So let your elbows drop down. You may find that you're just coming forward a little bit, or maybe you have the flexibility to come all the way down to the ground. Take a full inhale. With your exhale, sigh it out. In our yin practice, we want to remind ourselves to find the right shape for our body, just like we do in the yang practice. But once we find that shape, softening, trying to release as many muscles as we can, just allowing enough action in our form to stay in that shape. Our breath is like a gentle Ujjayi breath, or you can think of it just as a, slightly engaged throat. You can feel a little bit extra in the back of your throat than just normal breathing. And with rhythm. And then making that inner shift, this attitude adjustment, to be willing to stay through being uncomfortable in the pose, or being bored in the pose, or irritated, or even excited. But we're not practicing staying through sharp pain. And this distinction is something that, with our practice, maybe even just with our life experience, our maturity, we start to notice what isn't just annoying, or what is really a pain, or what is telling you that something is being released, a toxin released even, which is often not comfortable, or what is giving you a warning to get out of the pose before you hurt yourself. Now, staying quite low, just lift up enough so you can kind of walk your hands and twist your ribs over your extended right leg, and then dropping down again with your head towards your knee, your back curved. Feel your breath. Notice if it's keeping the rhythm. We're in our last week of Virgo season. approaching a solar eclipse in the final degrees of Virgo. This happens on Sunday, the 21st of September. And the next day, the sun moves into Libra. In the northern hemisphere here, we're in the season of between summer and winter. We're in fall. We're entering into fall with the equinox. In the rhythm of the Christian festivals, we're approaching Michaelmas. And then slowly roll up. And we're going to switch our legs. You might have to shake out a little bit, wiggle a little extra if you need to. And then find, again, about 90 degrees between your thighs. And roll down through the middle first, so you feel like your heel is coming into your belly button, perhaps. Maybe your chin is just dropping towards your chest. But softening downward. Maybe noticing that one side of your body doesn't feel like the other side of the body. Today I was out in the woods. And my plan was to go for this nice long loop that we have on the path. But just a couple meters into the woods already, there was a chanterelle mushroom, like right on the path. And so I veered off and went off the path. And instead of focusing on, doing a nice fast loop, I searched for mushrooms and found. And I laughed a little bit to myself because it's such a pleasure to be out in the woods and to smell those damp, rich smells of the earth. And it's been raining off and on quite a bit in these past couple of days. And I laugh because my younger self could never imagine that I would be so happy and excited to be looking for mushrooms in the woods. Now slowly just lift up enough that you can start to walk your hands over your left leg, making the adjustments you need to, and softening down towards your left knee. I had this funny thing that when I was younger, maybe I really didn't like mushrooms, or maybe, perhaps, I was so much a daddy's little girl that I decided I didn't like mushrooms because my dad didn't like mushrooms. I didn't realize I liked mushrooms, or I didn't start to like mushrooms till years later. But I also never imagined that I would be someone who would love living in the countryside so much, love being out in the woods, love being, out on long walks, foraging. And how amazing it is that we have these things, these areas of our life that we've stumbled into, grown into, or come into by chance, that can evoke so much joy in us that we never really suspected as a younger person or years before. You know, very much like the taste buds. Our taste buds actually, they change about, I think it's like every 7 years or something, we'll have new taste buds. But as an adult, you've realized, as you've grown older, you've come to appreciate different tastes. Maybe you even can taste more complex tastes that as a child would have repelled you. And that there has been a growth of appreciation in your life. An expansion. And then start to roll up. And rather than just going straight down the middle, we're going to wiggle around and we're going to make our way onto our mat so we can get into geisha pose is what it's called, or sorry, without your toes tucked, or you can think of it, seesaw pose, where you just sit on your heels and bring your hands onto your lap and close your eyes. So this isn't a very complex pose. It's quite simple. For some of us, some people have a lot of sensation just sitting on the shins in this way, bending the knees in this way. But just close your eyes and just notice your breath going in. Notice your breath going out. Feel the floating of your ribs, the softening of your shoulders. What is it like just to stand still for a moment, sit still for a moment, unhurried? Maybe lift up an image of the person you dedicated your class to. Notice the silence in the room. Observe that your mind can stay very active. Notice how you can witness that. Observing our own thinking. Noticing our own selves. Reflecting on who we were and who we have become. And then open your eyes. And now we're going to make our way into frog pose. So you take your knees wide as they go. Flex your feet, lining up your ankles right in line with your knees. You might need extra padding underneath your knees. Keep your hips lined up with your knees and then come down onto your elbows. there's a tendency to rock your hips back, so just notice. Realign your hips up with your knees, and then maybe bring your chest down to the ground. If that's too much, you can bring your feet closer together so that it becomes more like tadpole pose. But we want to be right on that edge. And so frog is a great moment where we notice how different something can be in its maturity, in its adulthood. You know, thinking of those little tadpoles. The baby frogs. What kind of cycles of growth that a frog goes through externally. You know, we are born later in our development than a baby frog. Obviously, they lay eggs. They're not mammals. And already at birth, we have, all of our fingers, all of our toes, all of our facial features. But still, as adults, we look so different than our baby selves. So much more complexity has been added. Not just to our taste buds, not just to our physical body, but to our whole way of being, to every layer. And so this being still Virgo season, one of the ways to be active with the stars, with the archetypes in this season, is to be putting that question to yourself: how am I maturing? How am I growing? What do I need to be rid of and purge myself of to become more myself? What illusions or misunderstandings about myself am I actually ready to let go of? So during the lunar eclipse in Pisces, while the sun was in Virgo, about a week and a half ago of today, there was real theme of like, what is ending? What do I need to close? What do I need to let go of? So that when we come to the solar eclipse in Virgo, we have this lighter, fresher, unburdened self that we can begin something new. We can plant the seed for something becoming. What do we want to cultivate in ourselves to be truer to what we know in our core, in our being, needs to come forth? The sun moves through the cycle of the zodiac every year. We move through the seasons every year. While we are alive, we are constantly engaged in our own becoming. You've lived through seasons of eclipses before. You've lived through fall and winter before. But what's going to be different this year? And then start to slowly move forward, coming out of your frog. You can slide forward and just moan and groan a little bit, wiggle around, feeling and noticing that movement. Lets the fragileness dissipate, the tenderness. And where in frog the real emphasis was opening the hips, we're going to move into Anahata Asana, which is quite similar, but this opens up our torso, our chest area more. So come back, lining your hips over your knees, and instead of sliding our knees out to the side, we're going to slide our arms forward. You can fold one of your elbows to give yourself a pillow if you want. You don't need to. And then find your way to Anahata Asana, where your chest is expanding to the ground. Your forehead's resting on the ground. We could just, stay asleep through the cycles of the years. Just as much as we could stay asleep through our lives if we really wanted to. And, many do. But when we take up our practices of being alive, when we take up our practice of yoga, when we take up a life of meditation or contemplation, when we want to work on our own suffering, curing our own suffering from our internal space rather than just anesthetizing ourselves, taking something from the outside in. Then we find that we can move with the rhythm of the year in such a way that harnesses our capacities, really. We want to go through seasons of shedding and letting go and moving inward. Just like in spring, we want to go into seasons of growth and new blossoms. It's so cool, the elemental beings, they're constantly going through the seasons, and our picture really is that now in fall, coming from summer where the elementals have been up in the air and really out of themselves, nearly out in the world, in the ethers, they start to come down so that as winter sets in, then the elementals go right deep into the earth more. Now, even if you don't see fairies or elves or gnomes, you don't see, salamanders and all the elementals, we have this feeling and this sense of that movement. We feel it in ourselves. In the summer, we want to go out and we want to play and dance in the surf and have parties and celebrate. So it's much more natural to be in that social realm. And then at winter time, especially if you live more north, there is this turning inward. There is this coming back to the home, coming back to your inner space, and the darkness kind of wraps us inward. Now start to slide forward one more time, wiggling your hips, noticing the difference of Anahata Asana and frog pose, feeling an openness in the front of your body. Take a couple of really deep breaths. And then we're going to slide our elbows forward and come into Sphinx, or if you're ready, you can go straight into Seal. So either having your elbows shoulder distance apart, or just going right to Seal, stretching your arms longer, coming into the deeper back bend. So one of the archetypes that's very closely related to Virgo is the archetype of the hermit. And the hermit is often depicted, interestingly enough, it's often depicted wearing a red robe with a blue cloak, very much like the Virgin Mary. And it's depicted with a lantern, holding a lantern up, and with a staff. And this image of the hermit in the Virgo season evokes these parts, this part of Virgo that relates the Virgin actually to the priestess, to the spiritual aspirant, the seeker. And it's understood that this lamp that the hermit holds is the light of knowledge. The staff represents being able to connect to the ground, to be here on earth. And the cloak is part of what represents actually kind of this solitude, this coming into yourself. Symbolic language. And so when we put these all together, this is very much the picture, not so much of the recluse sitting by themselves with a computer at home, much more of the monk or sage that intentionally retreats from the world in order to use their knowledge and their connection to the earth to find the divine, to find spirit. If you haven't lifted up into Seal, feel free to change your Sphinx into Seal for the final about minute and a half of this pose. Now, this lamp, we notice in ourselves that it's our self-knowledge that illuminates our path. Also, it illuminates our wounds, our weaknesses, our suffering, our misdeeds, our errors. And so it's not always illuminating just pure goodness or just pure badness, but it illuminates all. And when we discover those places, when we illuminate those places that are festering with something incongruent to who we want to be, then we have to take care of that. Apply our will to change it. So softly start to bring yourself all the way down to the earth. Wiggling, sighing deeply, moaning, groaning. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself one more time back onto your knees, and this time you're going to sit on your heels. And you can choose if you want to have your toes tucked under or not. We're going to come into a yang pose. We're going to do camel pose. So lift up your hips, bring your hands to your lower back. Either stretch your toes, if your back's a little tight, have your toes tucked. Lift up your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then push your hips forward as you drop your head back. You can stick out your tongue, look at your third eye, add a lion's pose and a little bit of a roar. Drop your hands down to your heels if that's there for you. Feel free to do another lion's pose or two if you'd like. And then inhale, lift up. Cross your ankles. Roll over your crossed ankles. Reach your hands out. Pull your belly in. And slowly lower yourself down to the ground. Stretch your left leg and pull your right knee to your chest. And then take your right knee across your body to the left. You can also move your hips to the right and then take your knee to the left, giving you a little bit more space. Either look up to the ceiling or keep looking to the right. Coming into the twist. Now, in, popular astrology, we connect with Virgo very much this kind of critical, particular personality. Exacting. And we can understand that that is a little bit the shadow of seeing all the incongruencies in yourself, seeing all the little errors and missteps, wounds and imbalances. So there's a real need for the Virgo archetype not to get bogged down or even like depressed from seeing all those imperfections. Instead, to celebrate how much they can accomplish in this lifetime, because what they can see. This drive to change. But this virtue of Virgo is from this constant and incessant wish and drive to perfect themselves, to refine themselves, their capacity to be discerning. It can really actually lead to a purification that helps a person become more aligned with who they want to be. Just like our yoga practice helps open up our meridians, the Taoist form of nadis, for more clear and clean and direct communication possible through between our organs and our whole body and the systems of our body connected to our subtle bodies. So too with Virgo, this purification process can improve the communication of their humanity to the divine. Now roll back to center and bring your left knee in, stretching your right leg out and twist to the other side. So during Virgo season, we can take that extra step in our own becoming, whether or not we are Virgo or have any planets in Virgo. And maybe take a day to fast, or take a longer time to abstain from something. Make an adjustment. Try it out. Do you too feel that when you have this capacity to perfect yourself more, that you can have a stronger connection with the spirit? So today we've been moving through this heart and lung series. And the heart is connected to the small intestines and the lungs are connected to the large intestines. Digestion and there's a elimination. If we think about, what is that? The heart is the small intestine, so that's much more the digestion movement picture of that. And the lungs is more connected to this large intestines and the elimination then. So there's this mirroring in those two. Our heart is the integrator. This digester of all the information our body and our being bring into ourselves. And we can even feel it, right? When we exhale, we sigh out our breath, we can feel that we're letting go of something. Now roll back to center. And before we close out, we're going to do a little banana asana. So you can hug your knees in just to get your hips back to center. And then stretch your legs long and take your right heel to the right corner of your yoga mat and then put your left heel over your right ankle. Stretch your arms over your head and then pull your left arm to the right. You can even wiggle your hips more to the left if you want to get a bigger stretch on the whole side body of your left hand side. Take your full inhale with your exhale, sigh out. What's beautiful in this meditation, if we think of the whole zodiac and moving from one archetype to the next, after Virgo comes Libra. And so there's this picture of perfecting ourselves to meet the other. And while the other can be another human, it could also be the angels, it can be the divine, it can be God, it can be the Christ. It can even be our higher selves. You know, as we connect so much of Virgo to this elimination and this purging and letting go, releasing, there's also this element of service, which is really this giving. You know, in this path around the zodiac, ultimately, we're aiming to become like the sun. And what does the sun do? It gives all its warmth and light. Take a full inhale, exhale, sigh it out, and then wiggle your body back to center. And then take your left heel to the left corner of your yoga mat, maybe sliding your hips more to the right. Put your right ankle over your left ankle. Pull on your right arm, stretching the whole right side of your body. So this renunciation of serving just yourself. Let me work not to just fill my own coffers. Let me work to liberate, to free, to feed, to inspire, to heal other people. What else can I give away? To be a source of survival or joy or liberation for another. Because as much as we perfect ourselves, it's not the end goal. We want to be able to meet the other. We want to have something to bring to them. We want to have something to bring to our angels. You know, what have you done with this precious life of yours? It feels like a poor answer to say, oh, I got this and I got that and I get this. Instead, doesn't it feel better, sound better, make more sense? Oh, I gave this. I was able to gift that. I supported that. I gave my work for that. I sacrificed this. Take a full inhale and again sigh it out, sending some joy and love out into the world on your exhale. And then wiggle your way into Shavasana. Maybe covering yourself with a blanket, starting to get a little chilly. Letting your eyes closed. Lying on the ground. Letting again the ambient sounds around you helps keep you right here in this moment. next inhale, start to invite your breath back to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And smile. With your next inhale, stretch your body long, reaching your arms up over your head, wiggling your feet away from your hands. And with your exhale, curl into a ball and roll onto your right hand side, hugging your knees to your chest. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Once again, rub your hands, feel the warmth created, and bring your prayer hands to your heart, thumbs against your breastbone. With your eyes closed, wiggle your spine tall. Empty your breath, and we're going to close with one Om. Inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. I'll make some noise. This brings you back. And thank you so much for your practice and for your time.